11:03. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioners Rahman,
Present.
Long is absent with notice. Powell, Cavell is absent with notice. Charles,
Present.
Weipert,
I'm here.
Hoffman,
Present.
Markham.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Next up, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody would please rise. And Mr. Hoffman, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next up, we have approval of the minutes from the May 17th meeting. Moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Rahman. Let's go ahead and prompt the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. Next up, approval of today's agenda. I need a motion. Commissioner Hoffman, supported by Commissioner Smith Charles. Any changes? Okay, please prompt the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, next item of business is public comment. Is there anyone from the public who cares to address this group at this time? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment. We have one at the end if someone wants to join us. And move on to item number 7A, under department recommendations, support of the Troy Nature Society Education Program at Stage Nature Center. Welcome. You need a motion? So moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by, somebody supported.
I'll support it.
Commissioner Weipert.
Tough audience.
I know, tough crowd. Do we have anybody to speak on this, or is Commissioner Loops here? This is her.
Sure, this is Michael Keys from the VOT team. Sorry that I'm virtual today, but Commissioner Loops did let us know that she wouldn't be able to make the meeting, but did provide a number of backup information on the Troy Nature Society's educational programming and this $10,000 request. I can tell commissioners that this will help them continue those educational programs. Just as an example, they have a number of different walking with naturalists and owl encounters, and a little acorn program that they run out of the Troy Nature Center, the Stag Nature Center. And so this will allow them to not only continue that programming, but also provide volunteer resources for grounds cleanup, special projects, and even program expansion. So if there's any questions, I can certainly answer them. And Commissioner Lutz has been at the forefront of this request.
Okay. Anybody have any comments or questions? Commissioner Rahman.
I'm in support of all of this. You know, I think I was having a sidebar conversation. You know, I think what Commissioner's trying to do is a great thing. I just want to be careful, and I want to go on record, because I mentioned this before, is that I want to try to make sure that as a board we have some accountability, maybe that's the right word, to figure out what is going where. In the short time I've been on the board, I think this may be I'm just guessing 4th, 5th, 6th, item from special projects that has gone to this district. And I'd be remiss if I didn't comment that I don't know that it's being equitably divided, and I again would implore this board to try to figure out, we need some way to keep track of what's going where.
Okay, so what I might suggest based on that comment, and we've talked about this before, is if Mike Keys and the rest of the organization could take a look at what our special project requirements are, which we all agree are kind of loose, and take another crack at tightening them up and answer some of the questions about, who does this serve and that sort of thing, so that, like Commissioner Lubes, this is her district, and this is something in Troy, but we've also done something for Clausen in her district and so on, which I don't object to.
Correct.
It's just elevating it. Nobody's been denied this year, I don't think. And I do wanna make the point that this is a way, first of all, these are supposed to be typically one-time deals. And they're a way for each commissioner to do something special within their district and represent the county to the district in a way that is positive. These are all, they tend to be, a lot of these smaller ones, they tend to be festivals and so on. So, Mike Keys, can you take another crack at that?
Yeah, certainly. We have actually been working with Sheriff Woodward at a couple different, not only criteria improvements, but as you all know, in terms of allocating special project funds and making sure that maybe some of it is set aside for sponsorships, whereas the remaining would be set aside for programs such as the request that you have in front of you now. So during the the budget discussion, when it comes to the Board of Commissioners department and that discussion, we will certainly be bringing that forward.
Awesome, thank you. Commissioner Hoffman.
When you say one-time funding, one time per year, some of them we've done
Every year.
every year.
Right, it is a mix, which is
Okay.
why,
But it's good, I agree with
yeah,
Dr. Rowland that we probably should have some consistency and some policy and some tracking.
welcome, Commissioner. We have some, but it's relatively loose in terms of how we select our projects and how much money is allocated to each one and so on. So yeah, I think tightening this process up is a good idea. All right, with that, if nobody has any other comments on this particular one, can we prompt the vote?
Angela, I've talked to you about the text you sent.
Hoffman?
I put, maybe I didn't follow through. Didn't hit the second. I didn't hit the second.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, motion carries. And ironically, next up, the next item is the sponsorship of the Wixom 2023 Downtown Dazzle and Holiday Tree Lighting.
Bill.
It's Ajay.
Oh,
It's
right.
Ajay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you moving it?
I am, absolutely I will.
I'll support it.
Okay.
All right, you wanna tell us about it or?
We actually have our city manager
Oh,
from the
okay.
city of Wixom here joining us, so
Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr.
You want
Brown.
me to kick it off?
Sure. Please, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so first of all, I was trying to figure out which side was a good side for me this morning, but I think I'm all right here. It's as good as any. We have a recently completed pathway in the city of Wixom that was an add-on to the larger Michigan Airline Trail that runs through our community and many other communities, part of the Great Lake to Lake Trail. We decided a while back that we'd like to add a loop around City Hall, the City Hall complex. We did that. We had funding that we put together with CDBG, with funding from the cities, funding from the Downtown Development Authority because it's in the Downtown Development Authority area. We recently completed that project. It's about 0.48 miles long and it loops around the community center, library, police department, city hall, the fountain that's in the center between those two sets of buildings. We're very proud of it. It's a very popular amenity. It's something that gets a good amount of use and we're looking to make it even more popular and make more reasons for people to come downtown and to get into physical activity, participate with economic development there by bringing people to the downtown area. And we also have a holiday tree lighting event that we have every year that's been around for a few years and gets bigger every year. There's lots of things involved, a beer tent, a band, face painting, performances by a local high school band, the actual tree lighting. We got a 30-foot tree that we purchased to put in downtown. So it's a pretty big event for us. And there's also collaboration with the Downtown Development Authority where they have a Downtown Dazzle event, which is basically just encouraging local businesses to decorate their buildings. And it's pretty well established and well participated with those businesses downtown. And when Commissioner came to us, I want to thank Commissioner Rahman for coming to me and informing me of this funding opportunity, and I thank the Commission for establishing it in the first place. But when he came to me and asked me about that, that was one of the first things that I thought of and discussed with the Commissioner is an add-on to that Downtown Dazzle or that tree lighting event, which is going to basically add additional lighting attractions to the event, giving people more reason to come downtown, giving people more reason to stay active during the winter months when there's something to see along the pathway or as part of the display along Pontiac Trail. So that's the genesis of this, and that's what we're asking for funding on to add additional lighting attractions to the downtown for those reasons, to increase physical activity with residents, to increase our community engagement with an existing event that's well popular already but can be made better, and then also economic development to try to bring people downtown and give them a reason to continue to support businesses in downtown Wixom. So that's the purpose of it. We would be obtaining lighting attractions that would go in that area. We have a local company, Blue Water Technologies, that's on Beck Road that participates with the Glenlore Trail lighting event. We've had interactions with them and talked about what they could bring to the table. Unfortunately, I told them that you can take your time with that. We're not going to have anything come forward on this. And then Commissioner Rahman and the Finance Committee exceeded my expectations and got this put together sooner than I had anticipated. So I don't have some of the detail that I would like to have from Blue Water. But we look to establish a little public-private partnership there with a local business to get this lighting stuff in place and make that event better, make the downtown better, more popular. So hopefully I didn't talk too much, but I gave you a good picture.
Great, thank you. I apologize, I should have asked you your name.
Oh, Steve Brown, Wixom City Manager. I should have known better. I make people do that too.
So thank you for coming today, and yeah, I will open the floor to the other commissioners.
So, I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about, economic development, seeing things come through and getting good feedback from what these are used for. So, really appreciate you coming and supporting.
Right, absolutely.
Wanted to.
I was just gonna comment, I'm excited about it too. I think it's a great event, and the more we can support it, get people out. It's a beautiful festival, so as much as we can be there to be part of it.
Anybody else? To Commissioner Hoffman's point, as long as we have money to do this kind of thing, we will do it. It's, we want to have, we were just talking before the meeting, nobody knows what a county commissioner is, right? We want the county's presence to be known in all of our local communities, and these are the kinds of things that we really like to be part of and highlight because it is community building. I liked hearing you say that Blue Water, you want to do a public-private partnership with them on all of this. We look for that too in these kinds of projects. We don't want to be the only funder. We want to help you do what you want to do, but we like seeing that there are other groups who have come to the table for something like this. So this is exactly what we're looking for these kinds of projects to be. So I see a lot of nodding heads among the commissioners, so with that, if nobody has any other questions, I will go ahead and ask for the vote to be prompted.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, no nays.
Excellent, motion carries.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it in Wixom.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one, folks.
Same to you. All right, next up, item 7C, Comprehensive Information Technology Service Agreement 2023 renewals. I'll take a motion. Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Powell. Good morning.
So good morning. I have an opportunity, I guess, to introduce myself to some of you, but so I'm Rod Davenport. I'm the new-ish Chief Information Officer, so I run IT for the county. My team told me I need to stop saying that I'm new, but I'm in week 5. They said in week 6 you can't say that. Take advantage of the fact that I still can. So pleasure to be here. I've got a couple of things. My team has briefed me on this, but I lack some of the historical knowledge, so Kyle, fill in any blanks. So the first piece I think is the shared service agreements with the other public bodies. So we've got 25 of these agreements. IT has been going through to see which ones expire in 2023. I think this is a process issue where they need to be reviewed and then they have to be signed off on a periodic basis. So these are things like our government cloud service, CLEMIS, which is the law enforcement piece across, and then the network connectivity agreement. So we've got a lot of different cities and townships that we provide services to. I don't think there's anything new in this list. It's mostly just an extension of the things that we have been doing. So.
Anybody from the commission? Commissioner Smith Charles.
Yeah, thank you. Amongst all of the agreements, does it ever speak about, in terms of uptime, just the base commitment that will be up and running?
I don't believe so. I think this is more permission to interact. There might be something very deep in these agreements. Like I said, I'm still relatively new, so I don't have a full grip on this yet. But
Okay, and then I'm very acutely concerned and sensitive to cybersecurity and just updates and patching and all that kind of stuff, making sure that we are doing the best we can to keep people's information safe and secure.
we are. I mean, so cybersecurity always is risky. We're doing a pretty good job, from what I've seen, with our patching to get our vulnerabilities reduced. There are such things as these zero-day exploits. So they're vulnerabilities in software. Sometimes the hackers know before we are notified, and it creates a window of exposure. But we do have some defensive depth. I think that we have an opportunity to kind of strengthen our cybersecurity posture here in the county. So I've been working with our Chief Information Security Officer with some ideas about maybe getting some more tools and some services. But in general, I think our outer shell is pretty solid.
Okay, you have a warm and friendly audience at Economic Development and Infrastructure, so bring us the stuff.
Okay.
And we'll vet it, and if it's a security thing, then we're always going to put that at the forefront. So thank you.
Okay. Yep. Thanks.
Anybody else? Commissioner Wyper.
I was just gonna comment, I talked to Rod earlier. A lot of folks don't know, Oakland County is so big and so organized that we are able to provide shared services to other government entities that aren't able to do it themselves, right? And so it's cost efficient, and it's helping government to government, right? That's
Yes.
cloud-based. And I mean, today it's A through Y, it's 25 different communities. I mean, we're doing service, 21st District Court, 24th District Court, 35th District Court in Plymouth, that's Wayne County, and 39th Fraser, City of Adrian, Village of Almont, Ann Arbor, Battle Creek, Tecumseh, so all over. And sometimes these smaller governments aren't able to do it themselves, and we're in a position to do it.
Anybody
And
else?
it's one of the things that goes unnoticed, that this county is really a leader.
Anything else? Thank you, Commissioner. I just have a couple of observations more than anything. This is kind of a strange assortment of communities and entities. You got a community college, you got someplace way on the other side of the state. I don't object to it necessarily if there's a solid system in place, which evidently there must be. I'm interested in how we charge these folks. How do we make sure that we're getting paid what your service is really worth? And how does that relate to our internal services? Same kind of, the way IT charges other departments has always seemed complex to me anyway.
Me as well.
But then I'm not crazy, it's not.
No, I think it's very clear to Kyle, but I find it.
Kyle and I have had this conversation. But can you just speak to that? Do we want to be in this business? Do we want to expand this business?
So I think some of the widespreadness of this, I think, is the law enforcement, the sheriff, doing things for communities that don't have it. I know, in IT, I think there's a small part of our data center that's hosting something for Oakland Community College. You know, are the rates where they should be? I would say that probably not. I think a lot of this has been in place for a long time, and I think because we tried to be supportive and friendly to these other governments, you know, we haven't been ratcheting up the costs the way that the private sector has. So I would say we're probably due for a review of that, but at the same time, I think we need to be sensitive because of the budget cycles for these other communities. You know, if we start moving too quickly, then I think we get in a position where we can, you know, they won't be able to make the payments, we won't be able to support them, and then the service goes undone. So this is probably more of a longer term thing, and it probably would rise to the level of the board to kind of decide the pace of such a thing. But I think that we are maybe not at market rates.
Okay, that's being honest, that's good. New leadership, take a new look at what's happening. Okay, anybody else?
Unless I've spoken too soon. I want to speak for finance.
I fully support it.
Oh, trust me, if you
And Glenn,
wasn't,
you
you
don't
would
have
have
to-
said something. Kyle doesn't bite his tongue, we know that. He would have corrected you real fast.
What a powerful brand.
Reputation precedes.
All right, well, if nobody else has any other questions or comments, let's prompt the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, motion carries. Next item, the contract with Workday for financial HR purchasing system support and maintenance. Motion, Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Weipert. Okay,
So as I'm sure many of you are aware, the Workday system went in last year and went live, so it's you know, HR, finances, there's a learning module. I think we're kind of in the stages of implementing the budgeting module. This is an extension of the services and support, so to make sure the software is kept up to date. Now, this is hosted externally to us, so it's in the cloud. The payments go toward the infrastructure and the networking that's needed for us to access it, as well as the, you know, the technical support. So, you know, I think it's important to continue the maintenance and support of it, otherwise we won't have access to the product. Since it is you know, an enterprise resource system, like they call it, I think we've got something like 69 different things that are interfacing to it. Replacing it probably is not something that we should, you know, go into lightly. And now I do think that, you know, as technology continues to evolve, it's worth looking at this again, you know, maybe in another 5 or 10 years, but we just put the system in and we want to make sure we're extracting the value from it. So I think it makes sense to at least do a 5-year extension on the support and the maintenance.
took us a long time to get here. Anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none, Commissioner Whiteford.
This is a giant undertaking, it has been all along, so is it progress looking good? I mean, the hiccups going away and?
So, you know, in my short time here, yes, but I think that when you do these large system implementations, there's always kind of a mixture of, we're trying to integrate existing things into newer things, and that requires some transformation of kind of how the information flows. There's training issues. Usually what happens is that it's, you know, each of the departments that's involved kind of puts a few people on this, but they have to do their day jobs. Sometimes those few people, you know, aren't necessarily spreading the word back to the department about how the new thing works. And so you have a mismatch between, hey, here's the new software with the best practices from the vendor, and does it really fit into how we used to do things? So it's, I've never really seen a big system implementation like this go super smooth. There's always going to be some hiccups. I wasn't here, so I can't really speak to the specifics of it. But you know, it's working, and I think we're making our way through. I think there's some more work to be done, but you know, I've seen things that have launched and then had significant failures. So, you know, from the outside looking in, I think this actually is working. So that's, you know, that's a plus. But yeah, I've had some briefings about some of the struggles of the project, but I don't know that it was anything that's atypical of a big endeavor like that.
Thanks.
I would add, I mean, I agree with everything that Rod just said. I mean, I think we've been live with the financial side of the system for a year now, so I think we're moving out of the stabilization period. I mean, the system worked, everybody got paid. There were certainly some bumps, some bumps along the road. But I think we're now shifting out of that stabilization period. We just produced our first financial report, out of the system. We're gonna bring you a budget that's produced out of the system. So I think that'll be kind of the end of the stabilization period, and then we're moving, into the optimization and continuous improvement phase of, how do we use the system more efficiently? How do we, make sure our business processes are efficient? How do we make sure, there's a lot more power for the non-financial users, in the county. So for a department director, and we've done some training on this, but there's more training to be done. A department director can go in and drill down on their budget, anytime they want in real time, where's my spending at compared to a 12-month trend, and can drill down to the invoice level of here's what we're spending our money on. So, that's my view in terms of where things stand and where we're moving.
Okay. Commissioner Cavell is on the phone and he has a question. Do you want to ask the question yourself, Commissioner? Are you there?
Thank you, Chair. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I can,
Where are you calling from?
He's on a train.
Can you text it?
I'm torn between Jackson and Hollywood of any of that. But can I ask my question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So this is a 5% annual increase in the contract. So I was just curious what that 5% annual increase ends up costing total. And forgive me if you mentioned this, but the contract is for, is it the 3 plus the 1 plus the 1, or is it a 5-year contract that you're looking for with this?
I think it's the 3 with 1.
I believe it's a full 5 years. Yeah. So, I can start at the beginning. It is a 5% increase. Frankly, there was a bit of a negotiation here. Workday presented us with a percentage increase annually that I don't even want to repeat out loud. And working with Ken Tice before Rod got here, we were able to get them negotiated down to the 5%, which is, I think in line with sort of industry standards for, for software of this nature. The increase in the first year is larger. We had been paying a flat fee over 5 years, so there was like a calculation of an inflationary increase, but then they took the average and charged us a flat fee. We said, well, going forward, we'd like to phase those increases over time, so it's not such a big hit up front. So the first year, I think the increase is about $370,000. And then the 5% after that is about $100,000 a year. And that gets split up between the 3 budgets for fiscal services, purchasing, and HR as the three main users. I believe it is a full 5-year agreement, which we needed to do to lock in the pricing. I mean, as Rod alluded to, practically speaking, unless something really went off the rails with Workday, we are kind of tied at the hip. Once you've implemented an ERP system that's handling all your HR and financial operations and is integrated to over 60 other IT systems. We also, as part of the negotiation, were able to obtain in the contract a second 5-year option. So this is just an option on our side after this 5 years is up. We're not locked into it, but they are, and the pricing would be tied to inflation plus I think a percentage point, but not to exceed 5%. So hopefully that would be lower than 5%. So again, that'll be a decision for, for the county and for all of you or whoever's here in 5 years at this table as to whether or not to exercise that option. But that gives us a good option that we're not caught in this position of having to negotiate them down from some high number. So I think that addresses all your questions, Commissioner Cabell, but let me know if I missed something.
Did you catch all that,
Appreciate
Commissioner?
Yeah, and just mentioned Brandon Park, remember. The first, our first term previously talked about how, right, once you kind of get in with a firm like this, and once they do something so integral, it changed my mindset of how good you were at negotiating this price because it was kind of work day or nothing, right? So I appreciate that. We're working on that.
Thank you. Thanks for the explanation. All right, anybody else have questions? Commissioner Smith Charles.
Yes, thanks again, Chair. So my question is for Rod. And as a newer person to the county with a fresh look, sometimes it takes those new, fresh eyes. Are there any areas of the ERP system that need some enhancement? And then does this funding, this might be a Kyle question, but does this, no, this is a you question, this funding extension assist in helping to optimize the system?
So I do think they've baked some additional training into the new budget proposal, which is always useful, right? So people need to be able to learn how to work the system to extract the maximum value. I think, I'm, as a user of Workday, my interaction with it has been fairly limited, but it is web-based. It's a little bit unfair because I'm IT, so I can kind of figure things out, but it does seem to be fairly easy to use. Most of my interaction so far has been timekeeping, vacation approval, that sort of thing. It seems to be working well for that. I think overall Workday is rated highly in the industry, so I think it's a market leader. They have a lot of market share, so at least until the competitors start to move into that space, I think we have a good solid product. So I don't have any complaints.
So Workday is, because I'm just thinking about that dashboard, there's like Workday and Civic Clerk and probably G2G Cloud and all those kinds of things. Those are not Workday.
Those are not Workday, yeah. So Workday is
Its own button.
Workday is one of the tiles on the screen
the
that I think
tiles.
you're talking about. Yeah, the other pieces are different applications, different software packages.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Anybody else?
When do we get to talk about Civic Clerk? Come back and talk about
Well, we
that.
can. I mean, if there's new tech that needs to be implemented, I'm ready.
Okay. If there's no other questions on this Workday line item, let's prompt the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Excellent. Motion carries. Thanks very much.
All right, yep. Thank you for your time.
All right, under item 8, Public Health and Safety Committee recommendations, acceptance from the State Land Bank Authority for the initial capitalization costs of the Oakland County Housing Trust Fund. Moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Powell.
Are these the right
All right,
results?
good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Leanne Stafford, Director of Health and Human Services. And before we get to our ask, I am very excited to announce that we have some new neighborhood and housing leadership with us, and I would love for them to take a minute and introduce themselves. So,
hi, everybody. I'm Khadijah Walker-Fobbs, your new officer for Neighborhood Housing and Development. Very excited to be here. I come with a couple decades of various human services experience in executive leadership. Some of the range is housing in Oakland County for youth who are at risk, human services, a lot of CDC initiatives, child welfare, so the whole wide gamut. I'm excited to jump in with 2 feet and do some great things here in Oakland County.
And I am Kyle Hines. I will be serving as the Housing Trust Fund Manager. Very excited about this. I know that I've received a lot of feedback that there's a lot of excitement on that side of the table, so I'm very excited to do that. I join you from the city of Dallas, where I served as the assistant director in the Housing and Neighborhood Revitalization Department. Any unit in the city of Dallas that was funded by the city or preserved or developed or financed or any of our homebuyer assistance program that went through my team, and I also served as the general manager of the Housing Finance Corporation and the Public Facility Corporation of the City of Dallas. So very excited to jump in here and start looking at the Housing Trust Fund and working to provide affordable housing throughout Oakland County. A little background about me: I was a resident of the state of Michigan, born and raised here. Moved for about 18 years from LA to Dallas, but now I'm back home with a 6-month-old. He told us we needed to get back near our family, so this is a great opportunity. Wanted to move back, so I'm excited to work, like I said. So appreciate your confidence and assistance and support as we move forward.
And we'll call them new, 7 days in, right? I told them they only got 30 days to call themselves new.
Apparently we have 5 weeks.
I think we're going with
All
the
right.
5 weeks.
Get an extra week, so yeah.
I'm calling myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the request in front of you is a request for up to $400,000. This comes from a $550 tax that we are receiving from the state land bank. And so it will be awarded to us in 2 chunks of funding, $150,000 for the tax year 2023 and $250,000 for the tax year 2024. This is to be used directly into the Housing Trust Fund. It's not to be used for administrative funds. It'll be used to create affordable housing as part of the Housing Trust Fund. It's a one-time fee, right? Something that they're giving to us. It will not be something that will be reoccurring.
Okay. Commissioner Powell.
I had a question about the Housing Trust Fund. Will that be like individual contractors and stuff to try to apply for this? Or is this more bigger companies doing bigger commercial type setup housing projects that fund is to focus on?
From what I've gathered and from the reading of the discussion and debate around the creation of the Housing Trust Fund, I think it's focused on providing more rental units throughout the county. And I would imagine that we are going to be working with small nonprofits, some of our CHODOs as well. We only get a certain amount of funds each year from home CHODO dollars. We'll be working from there, hopefully capacity building for a diverse array of developers. But then I would imagine we'll also have some larger for-profit, affordable housing, mixed income, workforce housing type developers that we'll be partnering with. All of the projects I think that will receive funds over $1.5 million will come to this body, and we'll be happy to vet and work with you all. And like I said yesterday in Public Safety and Health Committee, in that committee, I'm more than happy to sit down, or we're all more than happy to sit down with each and every one of you to hear about the needs of your respective communities and what you're looking for and how we might be able to allocate these resources to provide affordable housing throughout the county.
Well, I just had Pontiac Housing Commission just reached out, so I think that would be an entity that you can at least have that discussion.
Well, definitely,
Yes.
and
So-
as far as like housing commissions, their allocation of if they have vouchers or anything like that, we'll be able to apply those and layer those into the projects that we're developing, and we'll be just another source of resources to provide that entire capital stack to get the
Right.
deals off the ground.
I will ask staff, can you please get their contact information so I can forward along a couple folks that didn't reach out to me already?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they are on the partner list that I have that we're gonna start meeting with, so.
Great.
Yes,
That
so,
would be
yes,
awesome.
we have a list of about 5 or 10 that we're gonna make those initial reach outs to
Thank
and
you.
have discussions.
That's
yes.
great.
Yes.
Yep. So he's the the CEO of that is texting me at this moment. So it was just perfect for me to call the
Is he
question.
watching us right now? I'll just
But
wave hi.
he's looking for some assistance to be able to produce some more housing
Right.
in the Pontiac Housing Commission's fleet of housing they have. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? As if you didn't have a big enough job.
I have 2 amazing leaders that are gonna help push this through.
That's
So
good.
super excited about this, so, yeah.
We're excited about this too,
Yes.
so. All right, anybody else have questions, comments? If not, let's go ahead and prompt the vote.
Chair. Not germane to this, I was gonna ask about air quality to our health department person.
Since they're here, sure.
Since you're here.
We'll probably bring this one back too, but definitely we'll try to, so.
Okay, just, you know, in terms of the wildfires and what have you,
Yeah.
you know, this is on YouTube, people will listen to you.
Yeah.
Are, you know, anything we should be aware of, or we just go with our regular lives?
Yeah.
Because 2 years ago, it was like, go outside, go outside, go outside. Now we're like, go inside, go inside, go inside.
Yeah, actually, this is not my level of expertise here, so I am probably gonna have to push this off and talk to one of our environmental health staff. I wanna make sure I give you the right information and the most accurate information. So what I will do is connect back with them this afternoon and provide some updates. And we'll also look to work with the state and maybe push some social media out and get some information out so people are more informed about it. So
That'd be great.
I will take that on.
Yes, I'm lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
You know, just with everything being so dry and lack of rain.
And the media's saying, you know, you should mask up again and that sort of thing. So it would be good for us, for our health department to kind of just weigh in and.
I will take that on and we'll get some information
Reminder,
out for
only
sure.
you can prevent forest.
I know. In your own backyard.
Okay, so the motion carried and.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
So welcome and thank you for your work. Next up, item 9, under Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee. Item 9A is fiscal years 2022, 23, and 24. Supplemental collective bargaining agreement for employees represented by the UAW Local 889, representing Sheriff's Office non-supervisory employees. Moved by Commissioner Rahman, supported by Commissioner Hoffman.
I'd like to move both of them at the same time. A and B are pretty much the same.
Okay,
Same bargaining unit, different employees, but that's a fair statement.
I appreciate you suggesting that. They're part and
do
parcel
we need
of
to
the
do
motion.
anything special or
Yeah,
just?
if you wanna make the motion to include A and B,
Oh,
I support that.
Oh, yeah, both of them.
All right, so Commissioner Rahman, you want to make a motion to do both?
Combine A and B together.
And you want to support the motion to do both? Okay. All right,
All right.
floor is yours.
Thank you. Very nice to see everyone. Again, my name is Dan Clemner. I'm our Chief of Labor Relations. I'm before you here today for a motion to approve a few UAW supplements. As this board may be aware, we had a master agreement for the UAW that was entered into some maybe 18 months ago. And as new divisions, departments choose to join the union, they are executing what are called supplemental agreements, which are sort of unique and idiosyncratic to those particular divisions and departments. This has a very de minimis fiscal impact, if at all, on our budget. The appropriate documentation, I believe, is at pages 772 in your agenda packet. But bottom line is these two UAW supplements sort of outline work schedules and holiday and overtime, as well as some alternative work schedules for each of the employees working within the departments. I think for the Sheriff's Office, there's approximately 14 employees, and for the Department of Public Communications, it's 6 non-supervisory and then 2 supervisory classifications. So it's not a terrible impact on much, but that's the gist of it, and I'm happy to hear any questions that you may have.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? Commissioner Smith Charles?
It's actually to the commissioners and the senior or seasoned commissioners is I feel like we get bargaining unit updates and resolutions and things like that, but rarely do I feel like there's conversation that's not like in the open meeting setting. So like maybe one or I don't know if you and your vice chair, minority vice chair meets with these folks to kind of get more of the, you know, the details that may not be so suitable for the public meeting space. But I do just, you know, I'm always very cautious of asking questions about bargaining at the open meeting because I don't want to throw a wrench in things. And so I just wanted to say that to you all, my colleagues, that it'd be nice to have a little more lens into, because it's either going to be the executive's side's point of view, the bargaining unit's point of view, and no third person to be able to say, well, that's not accurate, or that is accurate in terms of how they went about getting to this point. So nothing for today, but I know we have different agreements coming up down the pike and things like that. It would be nice to know, you're already so busy, but perhaps you're already meeting, like how Phil and I'll meet with some of the department heads before EDI, just so that we know all of the skeletons, where they're buried. So I just wanted to share that. So of course I appreciate your work, but I do know sometimes it's their word versus the other person's word. And without someone from this body, not to talk, literally to just sit in there and just listen and observe, you're not actually talking at all, would be nice to know that that's happening. So I'll leave it there.
You want to speak to that?
Yeah, and so just very briefly about me. I've been a labor and employment lawyer for 20 years before I joined the county. So over the years of representing various communities throughout the state, that's a very good suggestion. I've had members of their respective, whether it's a county or a city or a township, that members of their legislative body sit in, careful what you wish for, right? I doubt that you want to be present for the entirety of a contract negotiation. I welcome it if you want, or if we can set up, because let me take a step back. The majority of these contracts, the master agreements, are going to be up, I want to say, in like 18 months to 2 years, right? So whether you want to designate somebody to sit through all of those, it's like cautionary, but or just set up a series of meets with myself or individuals from my department to brief you on it. We're happy to have it be as transparent of a process, and we welcome partners to it. So I am always in favor of having someone who holds the purse strings of the county involved in the process of, hey, is this really something we can offer, or should we maybe hold off? So
I appreciate that.
we don't have to, nothing has to be decided today, but that's a great idea. It's a great option. So just please let me know.
So, well, my suggestion to you would be find a place in the loop that you think we might fit.
Sure, that's good.
And then let us know, and then we can get involved with that.
Happy to do it. That's good. Sorry.
Commissioner Powell.
What's your name again?
I'm sorry. My name is Dan Klempner. So
You're labor relations, right?
Yes, labor
Okay, I
relations.
just want to thank you in regards to the dog situation in the Veterans Department.
Oh.
So thank you for that, because I had to interject myself to make sure that got taken care of.
I
So thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, some of you may have recognized me before I used to be with Corporation Counsel, so maybe my face might be.
No, I just was trying to put your face now with your name, because everybody kept mentioning it, especially for me, because I have the political background is long, so everybody was trying to convince me, like, you know, Dan, you know, I'm like, I never met this man before, I don't know him, so.
Well, now we do.
But thank you, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for saying that. I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Okay, let's go ahead and prompt a vote
And items 9A and B.
on items 9A and B.
I'm sure you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Excellent, motion carries. You've got both of the items approved.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Very nice to see everyone again.
Nice to see you, thanks. Okay, item 10, Economic Development and Infrastructure Committee recommendations. Item 10A, appropriating additional American Rescue Plan Act local fiscal recovery funds and authorizing the release of grant funding for the local government critical infrastructure planning grant program.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Rahman. Good morning.
Good morning. Once again, my name is Brian Coburn. I am one of the managers for Water Resource Commissioner's Office. I'm joined by Amy Plouffe, who's our chief engineer over water systems.
Morning.
The reason we're here, I want to start with a little bit of background. Back in 2021, the board passed 2 resolutions. One was to create the local government critical infrastructure program, and the other one was to allocate the funds to the 25, I can't remember how many communities that were involved in that. One community was left out of the list at the time the appropriation was made for all the other communities, and that was Royal Oak Township. Royal Oak Township received $3 million in state grant funds for the replacement of lead service leads. These are lead service lines that are related to water service to the home. And the $3 million covers the construction only, the grant. The $450,000 that we're asking to be appropriated today would cover the administrative costs of procuring the grant, the engineering costs related to the design of the work that's going to be done in the bidding. And then that would then the construction obviously would be paid for with a $3 million grant. So with that, we're just asking for the appropriation that was recommended by the committee back in 2021.
Moved by,
Oh, I should have pushed the button.
that's okay. Commissioner Smith Charles.
Yeah, so just as a recap from this morning, the big number was around 13 million. Like, this is really not even a drop in the bucket. This is like a bird's beak worth of liquid in the bucket. But could you just say one more time, it's funding to replace, I mean, the funding to replace is the big number.
Right, so it's really easy for these underserved communities to get grant funding with zero principal payback, right? So it's a grant from the state. But those don't cover any of the non-construction costs. So what we're looking at is every time we get one of these grants, we're looking for funding to help pay for those non-grant costs. And that's, I think we've been here a couple times to talk about Royal Oak Township, and this is one of those. So we're gonna continue to look for grants for the other 13 million, and then coming back and saying, hey, we need this much to match it or whatever. So Amy, I don't know if you had anything else to add to that.
That was perfect, yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, let's prompt the vote. Philosophically, this just shows us again how much of a hole we've dug for ourselves by not investing in infrastructure over the years.
Absolutely.
We should have been doing this a little bit at a time all along, and it would not be such a huge ask to try and get clean water into every home in Oakland County. So, but at least we're doing it. We're moving along. So,
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for indulging my philosophical rant.
Wax poetic.
Next up, item 10B, transfer of the Evergreen Farmington Sewage Disposal System to the Evergreen Farmington Sanitary Drainage District.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Hoffman.
Good morning, Steve Korth, the Water Resources Commissioner's Office. I'm Chief Manager. I'm here with Carrie Cox, Special Project Manager. And Carrie's gonna give you a high-level overview of what we're here for, to transfer the assets and liabilities from the Evergreen Farmington Sewage Disposal System to the recently formed Evergreen Farmington Sanitary Drainage District.
The Evergreen Farmington Sewage Disposal System was originally formed in 1954 under Act 342 of 1939. And this authorized counties to establish water, sewer, and sewage disposal systems. So in 2020, several of the customer communities of the Evergreen Farmington Sanitary Disposal System petitioned to become a Chapter 20 drain. This is good for Oakland County because it will transfer the liability for operation and maintenance of all the facilities under the Evergreen Farmington Sewage Disposal System to the Evergreen Farmington Sanitary Drain. And this is the result of the transfer, is what we're here to talk about today.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? It's basically an administrative switch to bring this issue into more modern structure of the drain boards and so on. Commissioner Smith Charles.
I think it's just Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Cavell who were not privy to this riveting presentation earlier this morning.
All right. If nobody has any other comments or questions, let's prompt the vote.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Item 10C, FY 2023 parking lot paving project.
I'll move that.
Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Hoffman. You're back.
You're back. And there's one?
Two, one on the phone.
Oh, one on the
No.
phone, okay. All right.
Yeah, we actually have a quorum. There are 5 of us, so.
Yeah. You know where I was going, right? We've got to go through this all, like, repeat ourselves all again. Yeah.
Yes, there's one person that wasn't there earlier, so. And Charlie on the phone.
We're happy to do it. Is that why we had people sitting over here? Should we be sitting over here?
No, they were interested in being able to be seen, you know.
Okay.
So.
All right, well, good morning, again, to some of you. So this is for the 2023 capital improvement plan paving projects. This resolution is for $1,925,273. And it is to pave, repave portions of the Board of Commissioners parking lot here, a parking lot at the Executive Office Building, and then the road that leads from County Center Drive past the Resource and Crisis Center and North Oakland Health Center. So that road would be replaced as well. With the parking lots, we are also improving accessibility routes, the walking paths, and then adding EV infrastructure to them.
All right, most of us saw this presentation this morning, but a couple of us didn't. So does anybody have any questions or comments?
No.
I'll comment and just
Okay.
say that there was so much conversation between meetings about this parking lot. Too bad you guys couldn't have heard that. But we were just, identifying that you're gonna be working primarily in the middle and how like the accessible parking and EV parking would be a little closer to the building, which makes sense because of having to get those wires connected and all that. But that would be phase 3, phase something else. And that you may not pave the executives' parking lot if the whole Pontiac thing goes through. So that's the crib notes of what I retained from earlier. And that if you drive a gas guzzler, you're gonna be parking further from buildings from now on. Like, if you use petroleum to power your vehicle, get used to not being close to any buildings anymore.
Well, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say you have to park any further than what you already do. We're not creating parking spots farther away.
That's how it feels.
We're just, taking advantage of putting in stations that are closer to the building because of getting the power there.
Right.
And subsequently, yes, they end up closer to the building.
Commissioner Rahman.
Thank you, Chair. To segue off what Commissioner Smith Charles was saying, part of our discussion offline was also just in terms of the parking and, the signage and things like that. So if we are redoing a lot, maybe to, I know we talked about striping or, for some of the.
So the issue that we were discussing, allow me to jump in, is that people are squatting in our parking spaces out here.
Yeah.
They don't recognize that farther down where there's not a sign, they should still not be parking in our spaces. They don't know. I mean, we're not here all the time, right? But when we're here, we want a space, right? So one thought was stripe off the 19 spaces for the 19 commissioners with a little different color and a sign that says Board of Commissioners. And then that tells everybody those are the commissioners' spaces. Because it looks like people kind of farther down beyond the sign, if there's an open space, they're pulling in there. And then one of us today got here
Those are staff.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's you?
Yes.
They're not squatters.
Yes.
Oh, well, never mind, we're not gonna complain about that. Hold on, staff, hold on, staff.
Joanne
Love our
and
staff.
Pam and Mike and me, and yeah, so at the end, on that side, it's us.
On the end, it's not a problem. It's
Sorry.
just-
Leader.
We love you, Patty, and we love our staff, but we don't wanna make them park
we
over
good
at the
staff.
EOB, so.
We all right.
Yeah, we're the last ones.
Longest our
But
people.
anyway, it was just kind of a conversation thing to be aware of, you know.
Yeah, and please let us know, right, that you're talking to the guy that's in charge of all interior and exterior signage for all of the county facilities, so, you know, if we can add some signage that will help with an issue, you know.
And we don't mind having our staff be part of our parking,
Yeah.
right? But
Let's make it 25 spots.
even just another sign or two might solve the issue. Sure. So, anyway.
I usually park in Dave Woodward's spot.
He's a lot bigger than you, I don't know if I do that.
I can run faster.
That's, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So, any other comments, questions on the parking lots? Charlie has a question behind you on the phone. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yes.
Hey, thank you. I saw that the lowest bid was Frank Rewald and Company or something. Can you help me understand if at all the DEI procurement person was involved with this, or how they would be involved in the future for projects like this?
Yeah, so, purchasing was involved with the, entire process. Whether or not the individual that you're referring to was specifically involved, I'm not sure. We are assigned a buyer for our department, and we are to work through that person. And it's my understanding that the individual that you're referring to is overseeing all of the contracts departments with the buyers, but I can't speak for them. We explained in ED&I that typically we don't use a construction management firm for repaving, but based on the market, you know, we had to bid this project 3 times just to get contractors interested in doing the work. Because of the infrastructure dollars that are out there, this is not a very big profitable project for them. So we reached out to all 5 of our annual construction managers to see if they could help us use their leverage because of the number of and the scale of the projects that they do to bring some bidders to the table, which did work. But even then, of the 5 construction managers, Frank Rewald and Son is the only one that stepped forward and said that they would help us with this project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, or Commissioner Cabell. All right, anybody else? Let's prompt the vote. Excuse me.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas or nays?
Thank you, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, Ajay, can you do the next one? I want to catch Ed on the track. Yep.
I need to grab my.
Oh, yeah.
Girls.
All right, so moving on, we are at item 10D. This is gonna be for the partnership with the Road Commission for Oakland County to assist in the reconstruction and rehabilitation of township subdivision roads.
Move it.
Motion, all right, Commissioner Hoffman, followed by Commissioner Weipert. All right, I think we have Commissioner Joliet here to provide some background information and kind of help everybody understand what we're talking about here, so welcome.
Thank you. Nice to end virtually this time. So this program, most of you are aware, was approved with the budget back in November. This resolution simply moved the funding from general fund to a assigned line item. And this, again, to reiterate, this program is for township subdivision roads to offset funding. There are some parameters that the road commission defers to right on to qualify, but just to even consider the fact that you through the SAD. So, anybody has any questions in regards to the SAD process, Public Act 51, I'd be glad to answer.
So I think most of us were here this morning for the discussion as well. So if there's anything new, please, Commissioner Smith-Charles.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure my colleagues knew that, and this is just for transparency's sake, that Commissioner Joliet and Commissioner Woodward did get a chance to chat about this. We've been kind of all volleying this for the last few weeks to figure out how we can get this to EDI's agenda so that it could come to finance. And Chairman and Commissioner Joliet were both on board with the fact that the Board of Commissioners will appropriate the funds now to a non-departmental line item. And then once the projects are selected by the RCOC and recommended to the board to be included in the program, a separate resolution action at a later date would be presented to EDI with approval by the full board. So it's very similar to Tri-Party and similar to LREP.
Any other comments, discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and prompt the vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody's calling.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Charles?
Oh, I didn't push save.
The attention.
Happens.
That
happens. 6 yeas or nays?
All right, perfect. Motion passes. Thank you so much, Commissioner Joliet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I think that covers most of our agenda here. Moving on, we've got our final public comment. If there's anybody from the public that wants to address the Finance Committee on anything at all. Seeing none. All right, we'll close the second public comment and move on to any other business at this time. Commissioner Hoffman?
I was just wondering, since the Michigan Supreme Court's already ruled, the federal Supreme Court's now ruled that keeping somebody's equity in their home through property tax foreclosure is unconstitutional, is considered a taking. I would like a report from the Finance Committee or whoever. I want to know how many people have been paid, what percent they've been paid, and how many more lawsuits, if there are still pending lawsuits against Oakland County to get their equity back. I'd like some kind of a summary and a report.
Is that, I'll say until you're done.
Can you repeat that, Hoffman, so now that Gwen's back, she can probably help Ajay understand what's going on.
The state Supreme Court ruled, the US Supreme Court's recently ruled that if you keep somebody's equity in the property tax foreclosure, it's a taking, it's unconstitutional. I would like a report on what Oakland County has done so far to give these people their money back, how many people have got their money back and what percent, and any more pending, if there are still more pending lawsuits. And I guess I'd like to have a discussion down the road about why don't we just locate these people and give them their money back? We took their money. It was unconstitutional.
Well, there is a process by which they are going through that and doing it with everybody
Now.
they can find now.
But not the people in the past. The Raphael case goes back to like '09.
No, they are. That process is going. I've helped
You have to sue the county.
No. These people were properly, I'm sorry, Chair.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just so
Thank
you know, the only reason why I'm saying is
Okay.
because I've been helping people in Pontiac who received, so they were notified, and then it was their responsibility to contact that class action lawsuit. The application was very simple. It was so simple that at the end of the day, if anybody missed the window of time that they had to get the application filled out and submitted, that's really not on us, but I know that our Treasury's Department sent out several notifications to at least the individuals or however they could get in contact with people of whatever records we had. I know they have, just know that there is a law firm in place and that everything that you're asking for though, this is great time to get an update of where things are at, but people were able to apply. People are in that process to get their money back. Like I know people going through it right now.
Well, let's ask the treasurer's office to come in here and give us a report.
Oh, that's a good idea, thank
Yes.
you. But my next question is, do people have to join a class action lawsuit to get their money back, or they can apply and get their equity back?
No, they
And
had
they-
to join that class action lawsuit. That's that lawyer, they got a whole law firm
I've not
handling
heard
that.
of some person coming in there being made whole.
So let's say this, let's get the Treasury to come back in here and
Okay.
explain everything for us, so
I
both
agree.
of us
Thank you.
understand on both our ends, but I know stuff is moving.
Which
I
is
will
good.
confirm that, yes, I know people have applied, cause I was making sure. So, Ajay, just so you know, people in the past had the foreclosure, their house went through our Oakland County foreclosure. Any of that, I guess the equity in their home that they received in the foreclosure process, we used to keep it, we keep it. Now, no, whatever we sell the home for is to go to the person who lost the home. So that's what this is all about.
Before the US Supreme Court made this distinction, the Michigan Supreme Court had already decided this, so we've been working this
We've
for
been
a year and a
ahead, we've
half.
been a lead for the state on it. So a lot of the other counties, cause the state ordered every county to pay this money back. Thank God, Oakland County never tapped into it, so we can pay it. But other counties are in different situations to where they can't take care of that, so.
We set aside roughly $40 million
To pay these people back. Yeah, so it's good I think it's a great time for us to get an
Yeah.
update now.
Update's good.
So do we have to request anything then from the
Just
treasurer's office?
Ask the treasurer's office to get on the next agenda.
And they'll follow up, our staff will follow up with them and get them on, the agenda, finance agenda, so they can do a report.
All right.
Chair Markham, this is Michael again. I'll reach out to you after the meeting and confer with Commissioner Hoffman to make sure we include everything in a report for a future finance meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other business? I was just gonna make one motion here and recommend that the special projects for the city of Wixom be postponed till the July full board of commissioners meeting. I'm actually gonna be absent at the upcoming one, and I wanted to be there to vote on that particular motion, so.
I don't think that's here.
You can just make that request with the chair of the board.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to have a motion.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay. All right, any other business before the board? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and adjourn at 12:14.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.